Want a safe route? Iran has made a new move in Hormuz. Will petrol and diesel get even more expensive now? In the darkness of night, the sea is not always just water. Sometimes it becomes the quietest battlefield of the world's biggest conflict. From above, everything looks the same. Oil tankers moving slowly over black water, blinking dots on radar, tired sailors standing on the bridge. But beneath that silence, the heartbeat of the entire world economy is trapped. And when sudden reports emerge that Iran is thinking of new safe passage conditions for ships passing through Hormuz, that transit fees are being discussed, and that a kind of controlled corridor is being brought forward for shipping, then the question no longer remains just about the Middle East. The question becomes this: is every barrel of oil now going to carry a war tax in its price? Will countries like India feel the direct hit in their pockets? And is this only a political bluff or a new nightmare for the global fuel market? At the center of this entire story is the Strait of Hormuz. This is the narrow sea route that connects the Persian Gulf to the open sea, and it is considered one of the most important arteries of the world's energy flow. According to the US Energy Information Administration, in recent years, a large share of nearly 20% of the world's oil liquids and LNG trade has passed through this very route. Recent coverage by the Wall Street Journal also stressed this same scale and explained that most of the energy flow passing through this choke point goes toward Asia, including major importers like India, China, Japan, and South Korea. That is why disturbance in Hormuz does not mean trouble only for the Gulf region. It affects global inflation, freight costs, refining economics, and even household fuel bills. The current crisis is considered even more dangerous because it is not limited to mere statements anymore. According to Reuters, Reuters-linked market reports, and other major outlets, amid the US-Israel-Iran conflict, shipping through Hormuz was badly affected. For some time, traffic almost came to a standstill. Many tankers could not be nominated, insurance risk rose sharply, and some countries even started diplomatic intervention for their stranded vessels. India too made efforts for the safe passage of several vessels, and Reuters reported that some Indian ships were allowed to pass as exceptions. This means that the passage is not fully normal, but it also cannot be called permanently and completely shut. The real situation is that the route is trapped between heavy disruption, fear, selective movement, and political signaling. Now we come to the new move that has made this debate even sharper. Reuters reported on March 19, 2026, that Iran is considering imposing transit fees on ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. The report cited a lawmaker who said that a legislative idea had come forward to impose tolls and taxes on countries using this choke point for shipping, energy transport, and food supply. Along with this, some reports also said that after the conflict, a new regulatory regime could be proposed, under which Iran would use its strategic position to respond to sanctions and military pressure. In other words, this is not just a case of maritime revenue, but is emerging as part of power projection and geopolitical bargaining. Alongside this, some Indian and British reports suggested that Iran is working on the idea of a safe shipping corridor or a supervised passage. According to reporting by the Times of India and The Guardian, Tehran pushed the idea of an alternative controlled route in waters under its influence, where there is both a narrative of security and a signal of strategic leverage. The Guardian described the concern in the shipping industry as a huge buildup of risk and said that war insurance premiums had multiplied several times, seafarers were facing extraordinary danger, and trusting an Iran-backed or Iran-supervised corridor could itself become a geopolitical gamble. In other words, if a ship wants a safe route, then the question will be, who will define that safety, at what price will it be defined, and under what political condition? This is where the legal controversy begins. Under Part 3 of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, the principle of transit passage is given for straits used for international navigations. According to the UN text, ships and aircraft have the right of continuous and expeditious transit through such straits. In simple language, this means that no single coastal state can arbitrarily treat such an internationally used strait like its own domestic toll road. That is why experts are saying that a unilateral transit fee or selective passage regime on a route like Hormuz would be an extremely controversial step in terms of international law. Of course, in the practical world, law and force do not always move in the same direction, and that is exactly why this matter becomes even more sensitive. But the logic from Iran's side is something else. Tehran's broader argument is that when sanctions were imposed on it, when its energy infrastructure was attacked, when pressure was applied to its shipping, and when a military campaign was waged against it, then why should it not use the strategic leverage it has? Reuters' report reflected this mindset, where some voices on the Iranian side suggested that maritime pressure could be used in response to Western pressure. That is why this proposal is not just commercial, but symbolic too. It sends the message that if Iran's economy is hurt through war and sanctions, then Tehran too can create pressure on the world's energy artery. That is the most dangerous part of it. This move seems to speak the language of retaliation more than revenue. The oil market has already felt the impact of this. According to Reuters' energy coverage, market reports, and CERAWeek reporting, Brent crude recently crossed $100, and analysts said that if disruption in Hormuz continued for long, it could become one of the biggest supply shocks in recent history. US gasoline prices also rose sharply. Diesel costs came under pressure too, and shipping insurance, freight, cargo nomination, and refinery planning all showed the impact. If such a large share of the world's energy flow passes through a choke point, then not only mines, missiles, or naval harassment, but also words like fee, escort, safe passage, and restricted movement can become reasons for price spikes. The market reacts not only to an actual blockade, but also to uncertainty. For India, this story becomes even more important because our energy system is still deeply tied to imported crude and overseas LPG and LNG flows. A large part of the Hormuz route carries Asia-bound cargo, and India is directly exposed in that. According to a report in the Economic Times, India began work on the safe evacuation of energy carriers stuck in the Gulf because these vessels included crude, gas, and cooking fuel cargo. This means that Delhi is not seeing this threat as just a TV headline, but as a real supply risk. If delays on the route increase, if insurers become more cautious, if alternative routing becomes costly, or if ships have to wait for escorts, then the impact will come on the landed cost. And when landed cost rises, the pressure moves downstream to refineries, oil marketing companies, transport operators, and ultimately consumers. This is the point where the common man's question becomes the most direct. Will petrol and diesel now become even more expensive in India? The honest answer is that the risk has certainly increased, but the effect will be determined by several layers. The first factor is the global crude price. The second is shipping and insurance cost. The third is how much inventory and sourcing flexibility Indian refiners have maintained. The fourth is government taxes and oil company pricing decisions. The fifth is how long the conflict continues. If the disruption remains short-term, the impact may stay limited. But if Hormuz remains for longer restricted, dangerous, or politically monetized route, then pressure can increase on crude imports, LPG cargo, and refinery economics. Retail prices in India do not always instantly mirror global crude, but a sustained shock can eventually have an effect. In this entire story, the insurance sector too emerges like both a hidden hero and a hidden villain. According to The Guardian, war premiums on Gulf shipping have risen sharply. When a ship has to enter a war risk zone, its operator does not only have to look at fuel cost or crew cost, insurance surcharge, rerouting delay, naval escort uncertainty, and physical attack risk all get added. This means that even if Iran's toll is not officially implemented, the practical cost has already risen. Many times, the geopolitical tax is not collected by a government. The market itself starts collecting it in the form of premiums, delays, rerouting, and lost confidence. That is why talk of safe passage may sound like a security solution, but the market may also see it as additional risk pricing. The world's major powers are clearly worried by this signal too. According to Reuters and TOI-linked reports, countries like Britain, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Japan have expressed concern over shipping safety and stressed the need to ensure safe passage for commercial vessels. This concern is not merely diplomatic. Europe needs energy and trade stability, Japan and other Asian importers need fuel security, and all maritime powers understand that if Hormuz becomes a precedent, meaning if in the name of conflict, selective fees and politically filtered movement begin at a choke point, then it will be a very dangerous signal for the global trade order. That is why Tehran's move is turning into a test case not just for the region, but for the maritime system itself. Now, one important thing needs to be made clear. On the internet and social media, many claims are circulating that Iran has already collected a certain fee from a tanker or that it has fully begun tax collection. The strongest and most widely cited reporting so far says that the proposal for transit fees and the discussion of a regulated corridor are serious, but the picture of a fully settled and universally verified implementation is still unclear. Verified reports confirm severe disruption, selective passage, policy consideration, and political signaling. So it is more accurate to understand the story, not as everything has already happened and is proven, but as the situation is moving in a dangerous direction. And many times, that much uncertainty alone is enough to shake the market. The biggest message of this entire episode is that in today's world, wars are not fought only with bombs and borders anymore. Now energy choke points, shipping lanes, sanctions, insurance rates, maritime law, and cargo access have themselves become strategic weapons. Control over Hormuz is not just a matter of geography, it is a matter of global leverage. If Iran truly moves toward a pay-for-safety model, it will not just ask ships for money. It will show the world where the biggest vulnerabilities of the modern economy are hidden. And if the world cannot stop it, then in the coming time similar pressure politics may be seen at other choke points too. In the end, the question returns to where this story began. Will petrol and diesel become more expensive now? The answer is, the danger is real, and the relief will depend on how quickly the conflict cools, how soon normal passage in Hormuz is restored, and how long market panic continues. If Iran's move remains only political signaling, the impact may stay limited. But if supervised corridors, selective access, fees, insurance shock, and military risk continue together for long, then this will not remain only a Middle East crisis for the world. It will become a story of every country's fuel bill, inflation, and supply chain. And perhaps that is the most frightening truth of this crisis. Many times the war is far away, but its price is paid at the petrol pump in your own city.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestion. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources news from various news agencies, opinion polls, and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.